Welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. It's your hosts Ian.
Hello.
And Gary. And today we're joined by Dave.
Hey.
To review 1983 movie by Jackie Chan called Project A. Now this is a movie that he wrote, directed, acted in, and did all of his own stunts. Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about Project A?
I also forgot to mention he sang the theme tune as well. Well, this film, it's based in Hong Kong in sort of the 18th century, and it's about the Coast Guards and their sort of inept attempts at thwarting the pirates surrounding the waters, especially when Britain and the US were sort of at the shores as well. But basically, because of espionage and stuff, they get their ships blown up and they have to join the police force, which the Coast Guards and the police force don't get on, and it's sort of comic mishaps in between. But it's sort of a deeper story about corruption and sort of gun smuggling with the pirates, and just basically trying to take on the pirates.
It should be known that this is a comedy, martial arts, action, adventure movie. I don't know this. I will be honest that these martial arts movies are not my forte in terms of film. So my expectations of this film were, I will say they were quite high, because I always heard that the Jackie Chan movies, prior to him coming into Hollywood and making the atrocious Rush Hour movies, which just got sequel after sequel, were unbearable for me to get through. And I also found that Jackie Chan, is a very charismatic guy when you see him on screen.
Everybody knows war. Yeah. What it is good for? Absolutely nothing. Good God, you all.
It ain't you all, it's y'all.
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 Man, you sound like a karate movie, y'all.
And so when I was watching this film for the first time and seeing how young he was and knowing how much he invested into making this movie, I was really disappointed. I don't get the comedy, or the comedy for me was just so dated that I chuckled at some of the jokes, which is fair, and I face-palmed at almost all of the others. It was not very engaging whatsoever.
So I think this is a sign of the times. I mean, it was made in 1983. Hong Kong cinema had just gone through a giant collapse after the death of Bruce Lee. I mean, Jackie was with the studio and they were making him churn out film after film that flopped. And so Jackie then went to America and flopped in Cannibal Run and The Big Brawl.
Yeah.
But then came back and the studios actually let him direct. And now this was his third movie he directed, but it was his first non-sort of traditional kung fu comedy film.
Yeah.
So his earlier works were Young Master and Dragon Lord, which are very traditional, but with his sort of comedy infused with it. But you can tell with Project A, he's learning his craft. I mean, the film stock and the scenery is not quite there yet. I mean, it does show its age, unfortunately. But this film, I think, to Jackie was an homage to everything he grew up with. I mean, he grew up in the Peking Opera School, so it was quite dramatic. And I think his first introduction to film was Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin. And although you don't really get films like that nowadays, that was important to cinema.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Those sort of all-encompassing family comedies that were so slapstick and so broad that everybody can enjoy, and I think he went for that to sort of encourage Hong Kong to step back from these kung fu films. And I kind of see it as Jackie's Spielberg age, the 80s, these big family films with something for everyone, some parts a bit adult, but that's what I got from it.
Myself, I'm a massive Jackie Chan fan. I love all the kung fu movies from the Hong Kong cinema era, and watching Project A, it is dated. We are talking almost 30 years now that this film has been out for, and it's just so outstanding that he was able to not only write it and direct it and choreograph all the fight sequences, but establish these immense sets. You know, design the sets themselves so that the fights could flow so perfectly. I mean, like we said, the Coast Guard and the police force kind of hate each other, you know, in a comedy way. But the bar sequence that they have, the bar is just designed for them all just to have this fight, you know. And obviously the camera is focusing on Yuen Biao and Jackie Chan having their fights. And then you've got like 30 other guys all running around in front of the camera as well. So I like to imagine that, you know, while Jackie's there filming his scenes, he'll then get behind the camera so that he can focus on these other actors who have starred in other films.
And they're all competent as well. It's not like where some films where the director's hoping you don't look at the background fighters because they're all sort of flapping about and being stupid.
Part of the scenery,
yeah.
You do have these brilliant people just coming in, you know. Like I said, in the bar sequence, you got the Coast Guard and the police fighting, and then you have two guys walk in, one police, one Coast Guard, hugging, and they look at everybody fighting, and then they realise that technically they have to fight each other now. And obviously, it does lead on where Dragon, played by Jackie Chan, has realizes that there is a traitor amongst their midst, you know, giving out information about what the police force are going to do to the pirates. And so Dragon takes it upon himself to quit the police force and go undercover to try and eke out the mole. And obviously that just brings on this whole elaborate story of Dragon running around beating the crap out of 30 odd guys in bike sequences and falling off clock towers, and it just fundamentally just keeps building and building. There are long pieces where you're kind of sat there like, oh, just get back to the fight sequences, but you have to take in these sequences to enjoy the rest of the film, really.
Mm-hmm. 清一色字喎，位位咁多，唔好壓支壓咗。飛哥，我哋有件事想揾你幫下忙。你知唔知個字幕鋪幾多錢啊？
I think that's the main drawback to this and its sequel is the story. It's a bit too complex and complicated for what the film is trying to be.
It is very convoluted.
But they're leading to these marvellous set pieces.
Yeah.
These love letters to cinema that all taken by themselves are all fantastic scenes, but the story kind of gets a bit muddled.
Yeah, there's one sequence. I thought about this. The film literally starts with the Coast Guard and the police commissioner and the Coast Guard captain talking about how they're going to take out the pirates. And I was sat there like, okay, show me the pirates. And you don't see the pirates for at least 45 minutes. And then you get the sequence of the pirates taking on these ships and kidnapping these people. And I thought, you know what? You should have had that sequence at the beginning. Establish how bad the pirates are, and then you'll establish what the Coast Guard are doing. But they don't. And so you literally have to trundle through the film to get to that point to go, oh yeah, now I get what you guys are up to.
You have like the slapstick training moment where they're all there and they're practicing, you know, grenade throwing. And then he's like, ooh, I'm going to give him a real grenade. Like,
掹開引線，嗱，我而家正面掟一次俾你哋睇，你哋睇清楚啦。阿 Sir， 快啲掉啊！堅嘢嚟㗎！
See, like this film came, I think, is a year or 2 years before Police Academy.
Yeah.
I kind of get that sort of Police Academy feeling with it. It's kind of
I do as well.
goofy and the pranks and the silliness. So I don't know if they got inspiration from that.
I like that 10-second moment where you get Yuen Biao say, well, you've got 10 seconds to shower, so they all rush in there and they cover themselves in soap, and then he comes out and then Yuen Biao walks up and he's just like,
就係想你哋喺任何緊急情況之下都能夠隨時出動。而家到我啦，教官，你都係10秒啊？我係教官，45秒。
I'm your captain. I get 45 seconds. It is, like we said, a bit of a Police Academy moment, especially with the where they're all stood there on the training ground, and you get those two guys who start talking about the women, and they get sent off to say it 500 times, and another one who has to salute like 500 times. And then that last guy's laughing, and they pull him up, and Yuen Biao just looks at him and goes, "Take him off and get him shot." And he's like, "What?"
你一個人笑得咁大聲嘅咩？我口大啊嘛，你知唔知咁做會受到咩處罰啊？我知，個嗰邊笑1000次啊嘛，拉佢嗰邊，槍斃。
Take him on for the team.
But inevitably, it is all about the fight sequences, and they are outstanding. The bar sequence is brilliant. The club sequence, where it's just him and Yuen Biao beating the crap out of people. The bike sequence, I think, is painful when he sits on the seat without the seat.
But again, it's just stupid comedy again. But I will say that, again, you're right, the fight scenes were spectacular. Some of them were breathtaking, and I couldn't figure out whether they'd sped up the footage or not, because the moves and the martial arts in the film happen so fast.
Yeah.
There's so much happening on the screen at once that it's almost impossible just to see everything that's happening.
I think that's come from the three main leads.
Yeah.
All came from the same class at the Peking Opera School. It's Yuen Biao, Sammo, Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
It was the first time they had come together. They had all had success by themselves, like Sammo was directing his own films and starred and was actually quite a big name in Hong Kong. But it was actually a draw in Hong Kong at the time because these three had come together. And I think the 10, 12 years they had trained vigorously in this Peking Opera School together to hone their craft. That's why these fight scenes are so impressive, and they are so fast, because they know what they're doing. They know how they've done stage plays of these sort of traditional martial arts together, that they know how to do it, which I just think is very impressive.
For me, it's one of those films that, for its time, it's one of those films that you have to watch more than once. You have to watch more than once, because if you watch it the first time, everything in front of the camera you're trying to pay attention to, but you will get lost in the extra detail that's going on in the background. But once you've established that you've seen it the first time and then watch it a second time, you'll know what's going on in front of the camera, and you can pick out all the extra influences that are happening on in the background. It is really, really well done.
So, this film is also very well remembered for its stunts, which were taken straight from his inspiration. Like, the main stunt in the film is the clock tower scene, taken from Safety Last, which was a Harold Lloyd film, in which he's hanging from a clock tower and the hands are moving and he's trying to hold on.
Yeah.
But in this film, Jackie does it for real, from crazy heights and to devastating results.
One of the most awesome, devastating stunts I think I've ever seen.
It was pretty stunning just watching him fall. And it was a device they used in the film where they shown him fall a couple of times. I thought it was the same shot at first, but you see him fall differently each time.
Yeah.
And of course you can see in the extra features or at the end of the film where they show the other takes, and you're like, wow, he actually did that multiple times and walked away every time.
Almost,
yeah.
But it was impressive before that, where to get to the clock tower, he climbs this pole, which is the size of
It's a
a
flagpole,
3-story house. And
it
shows the cameraman's on top looking down. There's no nets, there's no wires. If he slipped, he would die.
He would have died, yeah.
But it's kind of glossed over.
Which ultimately just, cements Jackie Chan as not only an immensely brilliant actor and choreographer, but a brilliant director, that he takes it upon himself to go, I'm going to climb that pole. Okay, Jackie, we've got the cameras rolling. Try not to die.
Which I think is why he became kind of popular, being known for these stunts and all these different things. And this is quite an early film. He became more sort of family friendly. He's not a fan of violence.
Yeah.
He loves the fight scenes and thinks it's more of a dance. But I mean, later on in the scene when he's in the pirate hideout, there's some out of place like stabbing.
Yeah.
Where it just
Yeah.
will show
People
a
getting blown
bare
up by
chest, and then
grenades.
all of a sudden a knife go right through it, which would later be taken out of his later films. I think.
Yeah.
It was just learning what to put in his films.
你唔係周永寧，我一直都冇話我係周永寧。
After the success of Project A in the cinema, they obviously went on to do Project A2.
Well, that was spurred on by the Emperor of Japan.
Yeah,
Because he loved the first one so much, he said, make me a second
make
one.
me a second
and
one.
he did.
But he was unable to bring back Sammo Hung and Young Biao, so he takes on three female Hong Kong actresses. One who starred in Once Upon in China 1, 2, and 3. And for me, I kind of sit there and I'm just like, I really enjoy Project A, and I really enjoy Project A too. But do I enjoy Project A2 more because the camera is more focused on Jackie in this one? And unlike in the first one, you have obviously Sammo Hung, Young Biao, and Jackie. So you have all these three characters, which you're kind of split to which one you support more. But then in the second one, the camera is mainly focused on Jackie pulling off these extraordinary, tactically brilliant choreographed sequences. And so I sit there like, if you're gonna watch these films, you have to watch the two of them together, and it will open the door for his further releases like Police Story 1, 2, and 3, and obviously, unlike Gary, the Rush Hour movies.
I don't blame him on the Rush Hour movies. I think Chinese actors and directors don't fare well in American Hollywood regime.
They just don't get it.
They understand they have big presence in foreign seas and foreign film industry, but they just want them to make the American films, and
Yeah.
they just fall flat like Rush Hour. He's just that funny Asian man.
It was also that weird time where they were trying to tell these sort of Western stories using these martial arts from overseas, and the sort of melding of the two of them was just a very experimental phase, as it was.
Yeah.
Where the American cinema just constantly tried to emulate what Hong Kong cinema was doing, and they were kind of back and forthing there. And so what we're seeing here with this film, as well as Jackie Chan's career, is just that sort of merging moment where I think both forms of cinema are now stronger as a result of it.
Yeah.
But for me, Project A, it wasn't engrossing enough as a story for me to want to continue into the second movie. I did find the very convoluted plot very tiresome. There was so many scenes that were just... It didn't make too much sense to me, and the humour had already worn thin. When the stunts were happening and the martial arts was happening, I was completely engrossed. Didn't want to miss a beat. Almost wanted to rewind and watch those scenes again. But as a whole, there wasn't really enough there for me just to keep me invested or interested.
We're lucky though that this film did come out and was a success to pave way for future films, much like The Raid by Gareth Evans. Without the success of Project A and the extraordinary ability of Jackie Chan, we probably wouldn't have films like that nowadays. So, favourite scene, Dave?
My favourite scene would have to be the bicycle chase scene. Now, when they made this, they actually heard about E.T., Steven Spielberg's film, whilst producing this scene. So they shut down production, all got cinema tickets to see this scene in E.T., and then all left went, ain't got nothing on ours. But although it is very sort of black and white movie, silent era, slapstick comedy, it's so impressive. I mean, you watch the behind the scenes footage and it's two totally separate places. One's in like China, one's on like the Shaw Brothers movie lot. So like they'll go down one alley and then the next scene are actually like miles away and somewhere else. But it flows together and he's actually performing some really impressive stunts with just a plain like really old style bicycle.
Yeah.
Like with the scene where the seat does come off, and it is very sort of kid-friendly, hokey sort of slapstick comedy. But even when he's like jumps over a ladder on it, onto the bike again. I mean, in the outtakes, the end, you see it go wrong, and you see he's actually doing these things. It's so impressive.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that seems so fun.
I think my favourite scene was the scene that I found the funniest because it was a joke that just kept reoccurring, and it's towards the end of the film, and it's where they're trying to figure out the passwords. And so there's back and forth where he's like, oh, so that's the password, and so he uses the password, and of course it's the wrong password, and that joke just kind of keeps going. I thought that there, in terms of its comedy, was fantastically executed.
我問你好過你問我啦。好嚟，
五行點打？
走啊！
人行運呢點撞都撞得正。
I really enjoy the whole film, and like you said, the story is confusing in some parts, but I do love the main sequence where Dragon has met up with his friend Faye, played by Sammo Hung, and they start to obviously work together as the film goes on. But there's one sequence where the two of them come face to face, and they decide they're going to have a fight, and a bunch of enemies turn up, and Sammo Hung turns to Jackie and says, "Look, you know, we will save our fight until after we've dealt with these guys." And the two of them in just one sequence just become identical. You know, they just they pull off the same punches at the same time. They pull off the same kicks. They work as a tandem to take out all these other guys, and it's just so well filmed and so well executed. You can see that the two of them have put a lot of time and effort into orchestrating this dance, as you will, to just have on screen, and it is just well done. I love the whole film, but that's definitely my favourite sequence.
I think Project A2 is the better film, but you need to see Project A to appreciate the second film. I mean, like Gary said, it is dated, but it kind of has a timelessness to it. If you look at it like the old black and white cinema.
Yeah.
I think there's enough. I mean, you can show your kids this film. It's just like holiday evening TV, just like Indiana Jones was at Christmas time. I think there's enough to get you through the film, enough enjoyment, and the fight scenes are memorable.
Yeah.
See, I can only half-heartedly recommend Project A. It's if you have it there, or there's an opportunity to watch it. Again, I would put it in a shuffle with other movies. It's not something I'd recommend that you go out and watch. It's not going to change anything. But as a piece of cinema history and as just sort of the origin of Jackie Chan's career, then if you're a film enthusiast or if you really like martial arts movies particularly, then you definitely should check out Project A. But if you're part of a casual going cinema audience, then I don't think there is enough here to warrant watching the entire movie. No.
I definitely recommend it. It's up there. Project A, Project A2, Armor of God, Police Story 1, 2, and 3. It will open if you never seen martial arts movies from that era. It will open up the door for other films like Fong Sayuk 1 and 2 and Once Upon a Time in China. It will open up this world of cinema that you may not even known existed, but you've seen in later future renditions. So yes, definitely highly recommended.
口令，五行欠打，啱。
想點我？邊度有啲咁嘅口令？
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.